Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Football Fan Show podcast. I'm Danny Harrington, joined by my guest this week is Thomas Moore, and what are we talking about this week? Well, we're going to talk about who the next Bristol City manager might be, what the heck is going on at Marseille, our reactions to the results midweek from the Champions League, and what is going wrong at Liverpool. But we start with a shout that Tom made 2 weeks ago on this very show. He said Thierry Henry might be Bournemouth manager, and I pretty much laughed him out the room at that point. Well, 2 weeks later, and it looks like it might be happening, and that is where we start. And thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of the podcast. If you can do so, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search The Football Fan Show live on YouTube. Go to our Twitch page, twitch.tv/The Football Fan Show, where we are live every Saturday night, UK time, 7 till 10 p.m, taking your calls and opinions on the latest footballing action. Let's get into it then. Thierry Henry, would he do well at Bournemouth? We'll have a look at the Bournemouth manager, because it is my understanding and the understanding of a few people in the world of football that Bournemouth are approaching Montreal in the the MLS. I do know the difference. That was just a shit joke that didn't land. I said I wouldn't swear on this stream, and I've broken my rule. Rubbish. So Bournemouth are reportedly approaching Montreal to appoint their manager Thierry Henry. They want to bring the Vavavoom to Bournemouth. Now, 2 weeks ago, Tom, you said that as I want to be fair to you, throwaway comment. Was it a throwaway comment that you said? Oh, I'd like Thierry Henry to be the manager of Bournemouth, and then suddenly I was like, nah, that's that's not going to happen. That won't happen. It's not going to happen. Why would they do that? Why would they appoint Thierry Henry, a person that, as far as I'm aware, has never succeeded as a manager, and he wasn't even doing that well at Montreal, but apparently now it is set to be confirmed. Bournemouth, they've approached, and it looks like they've requested permission to speak to Thierry Henry. Some reports suggest that he is quite interested. He wants to manage in England. I am not sure about this. I am not sure about this at all. You keep. I don't know why that keeps happening. But yeah, I'm just not sure. I don't think he's the right. So the question I propose then is: would Thierry Henry do well at Bournemouth? Because that's the question I've asked. But I'm thinking probably not.
I think with Thierry, with the previous two managerial jobs he's had, you can think that Monaco was probably a too high a profile team for him to manage. You could argue that Montreal, things are managed much differently over there. So you could make arguments about why it's not worked out for Thierry. I would say it would probably be a good first proper managerial job for him. Where the champion and scrutiny between during these in this country, you get enough media attention if you do well and if you do bad. I think with Thierry, the problem would be is the fact that he just has to take one at the Premier League and then north of the border. We're seeing about last year or 2 years ago, we were seeing the experiment come through of previous players taking over managerial jobs, and more often they have failed than succeeded. The big case of success is Steven Gerrard at Rangers.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lampard's been sacked. Arteta is still saying that Arsenal were a work in progress, but they were in a work in progress for 18 months now. Probably even longer than that. So I don't know. I think there's a lot to look forward to with him. There's a lot to look forward to with him becoming the manager there. But at the same time, former players, managers, they are dropping like flies this season.
Yeah, they are, and I'm a bit, I'm a bit skeptical as to whether he would be successful at Bournemouth. I'm just incredibly skeptical about it. I just don't see him being successful. Because if you look at let's just look at Montreal. We don't even have to look at just like TNA. They love an impact. Montreal. That's what they used to be called. Montreal Impact. If I just look at Montreal and I look at their form, I just, from last season, because the MLS season is not played. Is it kicking? I thought they were already kicked off for this season. Unless Google just doesn't follow MLS.
Their season's weird.
They play across the year, though.
It's like, I think their season starts. I think their season starts in like March and then finishes in November.
Yes, because I'm trying to find out. Oh yeah, it starts in April. So if I go back to last season and look at Montreal, last season, come on, Montreal. Where did they finish? Overall, Montreal finished 18th out of the 26 clubs in the MLS, and they're in the Eastern Conference, and they finished. Where are they? Eastern Conference? Yeah, they must be in the Eastern Conference. Where are they then? Philadelphia Union, Toronto, Columbus. Where's Montreal? Oh, they finished 9th. They just about finished ahead of David Beckham. Just about. They had 2 points more than David Beckham's team. But
it's weird the way it's weird how the conferences work over there, because you could be in like the top 9 or 8 teams and you still get into what's called the playoffs.
Yeah, they did.
And
they finished
some facets of American sports just never just stay away from football. Oh yeah, we need to get into the playoffs, and I was just like, there's no relegation or promotion in that league. That must just be like, oh, that's crap. That's just like, imagine that you're rock bottom of the table again. Oh great, we've got nothing to work towards. Yeah, I'm still getting my 20 grand a week salary.
Exactly.
For,
that's
basically being a player that refuses to retire.
Yep. I mean, they could just they could just go to China. They'd earn more money. £500,000 a week, please. Thank you.
Yeah, they could do. Yeah, they could do. But as I said last week, I know me and you, that's probably one of the few points we disagree on, is that I wouldn't go to play in the Chinese Super League, and you probably would. Just as soon as they flash the bag of cash, you'll be like, yeah, put me wherever you want.
Yeah, I do some sort of interview saying, yeah, I've got principles. I don't like some of the things that they do. Oh, £500,000. Sorry, what? £500,000 a week? Sod me. Done.
Oh yeah, he's just like,
book me China Airways, please.
Oh yeah, didn't I tell you my bank manager's called Principal?
Those drip feeds you get in hospital? Can you just drip feed me the money directly into my veins, please?
Yeah, I've a coin slot on my back. Just put the Bitcoin in.
I'm coin operated. There you go. You find me in an arcade. No, not that way. So yeah, Bournemouth are reportedly interested in making him the manager. I kind of like Jonathan Woodgate. I got to admit it. He was unbeaten before today. I thought he was in for a shout, and even old Howie Redknapp was backing him to get the job. I thought Woodgate had done a good job, but apparently they want to, because I suppose the thing is, Woodgate has no managerial experience, which I guess Thierry Henry has, but then Thierry Henry has no English managerial experience. And the MLS isn't exactly the most, how you say, competitive league in the world. Before they lost to... Who did they lose to today? They lost to QPR today by 2-1. They'd beaten Rotherham by 1-0. They'd drawn against Nottingham Forest 0-0. They'd beaten Burnley 2-0 in the FA Cup. They'd beaten Birmingham 3-2. And then the final game under the last manager was a 2-1 defeat to Sheffield Wednesday. But Jonathan Woodgate had been undefeated until today. So I think he... What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 games, four game winning streak, and he beat Burnley in the FA Cup. That's got to count for something. So,
I think Jonathan Woodgate would be, I would say, a very, very good shout for. Do you know, if it were me, if he wasn't already in China, perfect job for Slaven Bilic.
Yeah.
That literally would be the perfect job to show the West Brom owners that they sacked him too soon by watching West Brom go down and then Bournemouth go up.
Yeah. That's a shout. I don't see him leaving China. Maybe? No, he's got his eye. Well, if rumor is to be believed, he is set to be the new, potentially the next manager of Celtic. But take that one with a pinch of salt, because I don't see. Gotta be honest, I don't see that happening. But if I have a look for the. Let's have a look. Bournemouth, come on, where are the odds? Come on. They listed Bournemouth yesterday and now they don't, which is annoying me because I think it's a sure thing now. They think Thierry Henry is going to get appointed Bournemouth manager, which is annoying because there might, you never know, might be somebody else. We will have a look at the next Bristol City manager potentially. Controversial pick for number 1, considering how well they're doing at their current club, which would be quite annoying. Let's come on, Bournemouth manager odds. Come on. We had a look at it last week. Next Bournemouth manager, Thierry. Thierry. That's why Thierry Henry is now odds on. He's 1-2 to take the job, and then Jonathan Woodgate is the second favourite. Then. David Wagner, the former Huddersfield boss, is the third favourite. John Terry's 12-1. Marco Silva is 16-1. Eddie Howe 16-1, and Patrick Vieira is also 16-1. It's Thierry Henry. He's going to get appointed, isn't he?
I honestly wish that I knew what. Did you remember what the odds were for Thierry Henry being the Bournemouth manager 2 weeks ago when I mentioned it? Because I don't think he was even in the running.
He wasn't, I don't think. I don't think he was even in the running. I think Vieira was still like 20-1 and Henry wasn't even on the list.
That would have been... So. Oh, I wish I put a bet on that.
Gamble away, kids. Gambling's for suckers. With that said, let's wrap this up, this whole discussion on Bournemouth, as I'm sure the Americans would call it if they could watch it. Bristol City, we'll have a look at that then. They sacked their manager this week, so we'll have another look at the. Let me go back to my favourite website, the sack race. The next Bristol City manager, the odds on that one. Michael Appleton, the current Ipswich, the current Lincoln boss. Don't get those two fucking confused. Swore again. Bad person. Lincoln City manager Michael Appleton. Currently, Lincoln City are doing a remarkable job currently in League One. They beat Wigan 2-1 today, and they are top of the table on 56 points with Peterborough United and Hull City around them. Michael Appleton is the favourite for the Bristol City job. Personally, I'd like to see him stay at Lincoln. I did say it was a controversial choice earlier. Controversial only because I want to see Lincoln City get promoted to the Championship. Because then that would kind of finish what the Cowleys started. I would see that would be the natural finish of their rise up the leagues. That was started by the Cowleys. And Michael Appleton has come along and finished that off. Then he can leave. Then he can do whatever he likes. But as long as they get promoted, or maybe he leaves and Danny Cowley comes back. Oh, maybe.
A hero's welcome.
Maybe, considering he started the whole thing. Let's go through the odds in. Michael Appleton is the favourite, 2-1 with Bet Victor on this one. Paul Cook is 7-2. Former Wigan boss has been... Well, primarily his seat hasn't been in the dugout recently. It's been on Gillette Soccer Special on Sky Sports News. Not that I don't like him on that programme. I just think he's a really good manager and want him to be back in football management because I think he's really good. Eddie Howe is the third favourite, 4-1. Let's be honest here, Eddie Howe's going to be the next Celtic manager, so let's not even mention. We don't even need to talk about that one. He is going to be the next Celtic manager. I know it. Although, quite frankly, I did say I would also like Frank Lampard to be Celtic manager, more because I want Gerrard versus Lampard again, but in a managerial capacity. Russell Martin, the current MK Dons manager, is 10-1. Then Danny Cowley at 14-1. And then former Northwich Victoria manager Paul Simpson is a random choice at 14-1. And Frank Lampard 16-1. We can finish it there. Michael Appleton's leaving Lincoln, isn't he?
Bournemouth.
Yeah, Michael Appleton is leaving Lincoln City, isn't he? So that's.
I think.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say. I think Lincoln would like that. That for me would propose a very interesting and exciting project for. Do you know what? I'd honestly think that would probably be a better job for Thierry.
What, Bristol City? And Bournemouth?
No, I would say Bristol City, yeah. Because I think they're in the right position of the table for them for a manager like Thierry to take on the table. I mean, if you look at what Lampard did with Derby, Derby were almost like a perennial, may get playoffs, may not team.
I mean, Bristol City have kind of been that on occasion. They have been in and around the playoffs. I remember when they lost to Hull in the playoff final and it was Dean Windass. And that was the closest they ever got. But they have been in and around there for a number of years. But this season it's just not worked out for them. They're bottom half of the table, closer to the relegation zone than the playoffs. But it just... That's an interesting shout.
Plus, could you imagine Thierry Henry trying to understand a Bristolian accent?
Oh well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Yeah, I can't really do Bristol. That's not really Bristol. Bristol's a lot thicker of an accent.
Oi, Oi, Terry, are you going to shop? Can you get me a cornetto?
Cornetto, cornetto, get me cornetto, please. He'd be like, what? I used to be in Renault commercials. Now I'm in managing Bristol City. Mike. That's Michael Appleton's job. But it's an interesting shout that you think Thierry Henry would be better suited to Bristol City than Bournemouth. But I think Bournemouth have more money than Bristol City because of the fact they've come down from the Premier League, so they can afford Thierry Henry, even though Thierry Henry's wages should be cheap because he's not proven himself. He's proven that he's not very good.
Yeah.
He was sacked by AS Monaco after...
True, and
not too long. Yeah, go on.
I think it works out for Thierry as well, because then that means they're so bad he's got a quick escape to France just across the channel.
He'll take the swim. He'll just swim across the channel if everything goes wrong. But yeah, I don't see it working out, the Bournemouth job for Thierry Henry, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bristol City, I think that's Michael Appleton's job to I think that's his job.
No, we may look back.
Oh, I think we lost you there.
I was saying we'll put. Oh right. Yeah, I think I'd like to think that Thierry will do well. So in a year's time, we'll be doing one of these shows and we'll look back on it and just be like, "How could we have got it so wrong?" But that's me being hopeful.
I was going to say, don't mention that. I had to do a grovelling apology to the Swindon Town manager earlier.
Great result, but personal pride a bit dented.
How will I take the mick out of him this week? Did you see, before we move on, did you see the Atletico Madrid match against Levante? Did you see the second goal? No. So essentially, on FIFA when you're desperate, no, to be honest, when you're desperate on FIFA, you're 1-0 down and you send your goalkeeper up. Yeah, well, normally you're able to recover. Atletico Madrid, they didn't recover, and it was like the Levante player just crossed the halfway line and just booted it towards the goal, and it went in 2-0, open goal, 2-0. And then Atletico have lost for the first time at home this season. So it's.
Do you know what? I'd love to be in a dressing room for a team talk with Diego Simeone.
Oh God.
He's so nuts. I just feel like, you'd be sat there, you're 2-1 down at half time, and he's literally just shouting things at you in Spanish, referring to his crotch, pointing at his crotch, grabbing it down there, runs over to the side, goes, and then carries on shouting.
I thought that was more of a Maradona thing, to be honest, but
makes sense then that they put Maradona's face on money, it looks like.
Hopefully it's a 20. Anybody got a 20?
Mate, I need a Donna for the old toot.
Right, let's. I just want to quickly do this one because I watched a video on it earlier, and it's. Are you a fan of French football, Tom?
I am. Yeah, I tell you what, the teams I like watching playing are Lille and Olympique Lyonnais.
Olympique Mayonnaise and Lille Metropole. Metropole, as they call themselves, Metropolis, as I like to call them. So Mayonnaise and Metropolis. I don't mind a bit of mayo. Sorry, I'm just being a dick. Marseille are in the news. And if you go by the history of Marseille, they seem to have a crisis pretty much every 5 minutes. But this is the latest one. So we now know that AVB is, he's be right back in terms of football because he's left. He has, I'm still unsure whether he was fired or whether he resigned, because he resigned but then was also sacked. So he offered his resignation, resigned, but then was officially sacked by the club. So he resigned before he was sacked. Now, can you make sense of any of this Matrix stuff?
I honestly cannot. The only thing that arrives into my head about what could have potentially happened is that he goes to the board, one of the board members, gives in his note, and the board member must be a magician. And I say, I see your letter of notice, but it is now a P45.
What's this? Your resignation?
So.
Hey, look over there. It's your favourite footballer. Where? Oh, you've handed me my papers. Thank you.
Hey, look over there. Tottenham want you back.
What's that? Tottenham want to replace Jose Mourinho with me? No. I feel... obviously Marseille finished second last season. And if the season hadn't been cancelled early, then maybe they could have been a legitimate challenger. I'm not saying they would have won, but they would have finished quite close behind PSG. And AVB is well liked by the supporters for that. This season, though, they were having quite a good season until the midway point, and then they went on one of their worst runs for a long time, and the worst run that the current owner has had. They are owned by the guy that owns the LA Dodgers, whose name escapes me. McCourt. I know that's his name, but I'm trying to remember what's his name. Anyway, McCourt is his surname. I can't remember what his first name is. But anyway, this American came in. Is it Frank McCourt? Yeah, Frank McCourt? Yes, sorry. Frank McCourt. He's the former owner of the LA Dodgers. He sold it. So this is what's going down. So you had that. You had a really bad run. You had the club sell some players. Apparently AVB fell out with Dimitri Payet. Then they signed a player on loan from Celtic that AVB didn't want, handed in his resignation. The club went, we'll do you one better than that. We'll sack you. And it's like, well, then, he's already resigned, so how can you sack him? But, make up your minds on that. Frank McCourt, the owner of the club, is very distant. He's one of these owners that doesn't go to a lot of games, and even pre-COVID, he didn't go to a lot of games. He just let the club. He elected a president. He chose the president of the club, and then just watched from the sidelines. The guy he appointed is an ex-executive at Disneyland at Paris, and is a horse racing fan, and doesn't understand. Well, I'm starting to get the feeling that he is unaware of what football is, because he asked for from a 30-yard free kick. If a goal goes in, there should be 2 goals awarded because it's more entertaining.
It sounds like this guy is probably going to go to the chairman and ask them to put Mary Poppins at centre attack in mid.
Exactly. Just, guys, we're going to give you all umbrellas. You're going to fly. I
was like, have you seen that young talent who's been kicking up a bit of a storm in the Saudi league? Yeah, what's his name? Aladdin.
I've brought in a new manager from Disneyland Paris, all the way from Disneyland Paris. It's the French version of Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
That is their new manager.
Ladies and gentlemen, our new centre-back, the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Jesus. Marseille, then, they're in total chaos because they've struggled to replace AVB, and they've apparently approached a number of big names about it, and they've all turned them down.
Yeah.
Maurizio Sarri was approached, turned down. Rafa Benitez approached, turned down, and there are plenty of other names that have been approached.
Thierry Henry not approached. That's weird.
And then, of course, we had the fans attacking the training ground. This is before AVB was sacked, but the fans attacked the training ground. The owner did try and block a group of ultras, which is their nuts fan group. So I think we used to call them firms in our country, but yeah, ultras. He tried to ban kind of this group of ultras, and then hiked up ticket prices because he wanted to make the club a more middle class and marketable club. Similar to what PSG did. But I get the feeling that they don't like their president also, the club's president, because he is a Parisian. And that doesn't go down well in Marseille if you're a Parisian. If you are a Parisian, then it does not go down well in Marseille.
It's like being a Londoner in Glasgow.
Well, I think it's like being a Londoner anywhere other than London.
Yeah. Or it's like being a Swindonian in Oxford.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Swindonian in Oxford, that's great. So we have now. I'm just looking at the odds on the next manager, and apparently there aren't. Well, it's not looking too good for Marseille. But let's say that they've had a tough time of it. They are, of course, the only, and I didn't realise this, they are the only French club to have ever won a European Cup, the Champions League. They're the only French club to have won the Champions League, which I was completely unaware of. But they are the only French club to have won the Champions League. But it seems to be all hell breaking loose. And the last time I saw this was... I don't know, I feel that Real Madrid should be all hell breaking loose with Zidane in charge. But hey, there you go. There's your next manager. Zinedine Zidane. He grew up in the local area.
And he knows all about creating a crisis.
And he knows about... And he's a crap manager, and he'll fall out with Dimitri Payet as well.
There's not been a manager that Dimitri Payet has not bloody fallen out of.
To be fair,
you've got like one attribute to your thing. You're a decent dribbler. You ain't got any speed. You're not strong. You can bend a free kick in, but then again, so can James Ward-Prowse.
That's great.
It's like you're trying to fall out with your manager, trying to make out like you're the best thing in the team since sliced bread, and yet your only claim to fame is someone who is Southampton's best English player, who not even in his wettest dream could get into the England squad.
So
no disrespect to James Ward-Prowse. I think that was more offence to James Ward-Prowse than it was Dimitri Payet.
Absolutely. The OM supporters group yesterday held a press conference just near the town hall of Marseille, and they were talking about the club, and they even ended up praising Lyon, their rivals. They praised how they were being run. But they want their president and they want the owner gone. And Marseille have always been pretty vocal. And let me just finish it on this point. The son of the former owner of Marseille, who is, and I'm going to butcher this, Margarita Louise Dreyfus. She is a Russian-born Swiss billionaire, and her son has just bought Sunderland.
Is that Dreyfus?
Dreyfus, yes. Sorry, I get confused with the American actress who is apparently related to them, Louis. But yes, he
is
is.
That the watch brand?
I have no idea. But he has just bought Sunderland, so they're back in football. I think his mum still owns like 5% of Marseille. But
I think, that's weird. How old is he? Like 22, 23?
23.
Bloody hell! He's gonna miss that. He's gonna miss their promotion push while he's going to graduation.
Yeah, exactly. He should be. He should be at a university bar having shots of Jaeger. But
they should be scraping him up off the floor at Freshers Week.
Exactly. But
what did you do with your summer? I basically bought the northeast of England.
I just like the idea of him getting absolutely hammered at university, and then you know we've all made those stupid buys at like 4 a.m. in the morning when you're drunk, and he's stumbling out the club, he's on his phone, he's like, guys, I've got this cool idea. I'm gonna buy Sunderland Football Club. I'm gonna just hold my beer. I'm just gonna buy Sunderland Football Club.
Oh my god!
Yeah, okay, that's happened. With the now owner of Sunderland Football Club, and he's woken up the next day going, "Where the hell is Sunderland?"
You know when you're planning to go to the shop and it's your monthly check of the mobile banking app to see what you've got left, and you're expecting £5.32, and now you're negative 4 million.
Negative 4 million because you ended up buying Sunderland.
You're just like, oh my god, how did that happen? I love the idea of that. He goes back to university. He goes, oh I took. What was your gap year project?
My gap year project was Sunderland Football Club.
He just goes back to his friends. Hey, did you know all those people in the north of England don't say the word "the"? You know. He's like, oh yeah, put the curry on top crapper, and I'll have it when I come make brown log.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, it's weird. But anyway, yeah, that's happened this week, and Marseille are in crisis. So,
another thing that may have flown under the radar this week, but I noticed it did happen because I follow him on Instagram. Football's resident bad boy has a football club once again.
What? The guy?
Niall
Ranger. He's back in football. Ranger. I thought he was done.
Niall Ranger has gone back to Southend United.
Oh, wow. You know what? To be fair to him, go watch his interview that he did with the True Geordie. I
did watch that.
To be fair to him, I did feel a bit sorry for him after watching that. I did feel, because it kind of felt that he had been shafted a few times, and I
think he
clearly didn't want to be here with Swindon, so he clearly didn't want to join us. But yeah, he's been shafted a few times.
From the sounds of it, it was more like the case of, he's had the wrong crowd around him for such a long time. But then again, those have been his boys, So if you listen to the beginning of it, he sounds like he was quite humble because obviously he went to the best footballing academy in England, in my opinion, the Southampton Football Academy. And it sounds like, he sounded quite humble at the start of it, but then I think a lot of things happened at Newcastle where it felt like a lot of smoke was being blown up his ass by.
Well, he went big time, didn't he?
Different managers. I think he went big time too quickly.
But he was good at Newcastle when he in his early days at Newcastle. He was a good player. He was showing exactly what. But then I just think of did you see the story about Ravel Morrison this week?
Oh no, I've noticed he's without a club for the umpteenth time. He used to play for Marseille.
He is. It's come out this week that he used to steal football boots from Wayne Rooney, and I think it was Rio Ferdinand, because they used to get shipments. So the thing he said was they used to get shipments of 30, because they were such big players of boots. So he would just steal a couple of pairs and sell them so that he could feed his family.
Oh wow!
Even though you would think, being a professional footballer, you'd be earning quite a lot of money, but no, apparently not. But yes, he is without a club. He was at Den Haag, but alas, no longer.
Yeah, as much as we talk about footballers earning some astronomical wages, there have been some. A lot of people look at the football players saying, you don't really do that much to earn that money. But then again, you've got to look at how some of the clubs are run and some of the really, really poor wages that they put people on. On that show with Niall Ranger on the True Geordie podcast, he was talking about his time at Blackpool. Blackpool gave him I think this was back when they were under their old owner and they were having the financial troubles.
Yeah,
this is where
Yeah,
This was
Oyston.
this was like back in the time where I remember footage of it on Soccer was training for the owner. But a Ranger opened up about the contract he was given. They gave him a basic flat rate of £50 a week, and then gave him an also additional 500. They gave him an additional £500 a week on a pay by play basis. So if he played, he got the 550 a week. If he didn't, he just got the 50.
Wow, that's.
I mean, obviously he did things that he earned him that reputation. I wouldn't stick up for the guy, but I did feel like quite sorry for him.
That means
he's just had bad people around him the whole time.
That means if he was earning £50 a week, that's £200 a month. That's less than benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ. I
mean, Blackpool were in dire straits, but he took it just so that he could get into a club. But the problem is he's had such bad discipline issues. He would, turn up late to training, not turn up at all. When he was at Swindon, he ended up going to court because he tried to kick the door down in one of the flats.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because they got rid of him not long after
one of the
that.
Big clubs.
Yeah, because I was going to say they got rid of him not long after that.
To be fair, I honestly hope he finds his feet. I think he's only what 27, 28?
Yeah, he's at the back end of his career, unfortunately, but he's got 5 years left in him.
Yeah, but then think about it. People like Ched Evans, he managed to get his.
Yeah, but
obviously he was found, not guilty of the things he'd done. But
his conviction was overturned.
He had no problems. Oh yeah, absolutely, it was overturned. But then again, he had no trouble reintegrating into football, and he had. Dan, I think you've got muted, mate.
Oh no, I just shut up to let you continue talking.
Okay. But yeah, I hope our Ranger, he goes on to, he may not have been able to have the career he wanted, but hopefully he can finish on his terms. He can decide when to hang up the boots and not, when no club now decides they don't want him anymore. Yeah.
Let's hope that he turns it around, because it would be he's had quite a the run he's had has not been great, and I think a lot of it is self-inflicted. He's made so many mistakes, and if you do watch that True Geordie podcast, the one thing you will take away from him is he doesn't learn lessons. And I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, touch wood, and I don't know the guy personally, but I'd just like to see him just have a shot and not mess it up. And if it does get messed up, guarantee you it'll probably be him that messes it up. But I hope he doesn't. I hope he has truly learned this time, because I think this is his last chance. Although we've said that about, people have said that about him before, and it's clearly not. But I think this is it. This is it for him now. This is his last chance. So good luck to him. I want him to do well. I hope he does well for his own mental health, his own sake as well. Because if he can just do anything for Southend at the moment, they're facing relegation. If he can help them stay in the Football League, then I think that would give him an enormous amount of self-satisfaction, which I think he needs, because I think he's quite fragile. But I hope he gets a break. I hope he gets a break that he deserves. But he's got to work hard, and he's got to want it, But we'll see. We'll see if we'll see if it's successful for him this week, for the rest of the season. Champions League. I won't sing. The Champions. Still needs a bit of work, doesn't it? So let's have a look at Tuesday's matchups, and we start in Barcelona. I should say, by the way, we're live on Twitch, where if you even sing, you get a DMCA strike. Did you see the Metallica concert this week at BlizzCon, the Activision Blizzard Summit meeting, where they announced all their games? It was really hilarious. They brought in Metallica to do a gig, and it was broadcast live on Twitch, and then Twitch proceeded to, as soon as Metallica started playing, mute the audio and play some shitty 8-bit gaming music over it. Go watch it on Twitter. It's freaking hilarious. The amount...
they didn't want...
They didn't want to pay copyright.
Concerned that they would have to pay royalty fees to the band that was actually playing live on their servers.
Yeah.
Oh.
And, so they just muted the audio and then just played different music over it. It's like, come on, just pay them. Just pay them. So, yes, we start in Barcelona, and they lost by 4-1 at PSG. I've got to say, it's not an enormous shock. They've had quite a stinker of a season, Barcelona, this season. I mean, both Madrid and Barcelona. Barcelona to a greater degree than Madrid. But I don't see PSG completely collapsing in Paris and allowing Barcelona back in this. And I think Messi will just go, right, that's it. Furlough me. I'm done. Please, I don't want to play for this team anymore.
No, I think the problem is that the back office problems of Barcelona are always going to dog the team performances, because none of the players at the moment look like they want to play for the club at the moment. I think because of the whole debacle of their presidential elections, the way it's run. I think Barcelona have lost that sparkle, and to an extent Madrid have as well. That sparkle, that attractive proposition of that sign that if Barcelona or Real Madrid are coming to they're coming to you to buy you, and that's a sign career made. I think there's been a massive shift in the teams that players would want to play for.
I don't know.
At the moment, I'd probably be by Munich.
You picked by... I don't know. It's Barcelona. I mean, obviously, they'd only want to sign you if you're in your 30s, but still. If I was in my 30s, I'd sign for Barcelona.
I think that's the thing, but then again, I think a lot of the time the players who are in their 30s are already really, really, really well known. They won't buy him to be an anchor in midfield. They'll buy him for the resale value in merchandise. Barcelona shirts with the number 6 and Pogba written on the back.
Yeah. Although, quite frankly,
Barcelona
Pogba,
always make their money back in.
Avoid it. Yeah, go on.
In shirts. I think Barcelona will always. Barcelona to. Messi, you can tell so badly wants to retire from there, a club legend. But I think, do you know what? Part of me really, really wants Messi to sign for a team in the Premier League. Really, 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 really wants it. Only because, say, like if he joins City, I really, really hope that we could one day find out if Messi could do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke.
Well, we need to get Stoke promoted. Can we just automatically promote Stoke no matter where they finish in Championship? Just promote them anyway. There are a number of clubs I want to see. I was going to say there are a number of clubs. There are a number of yeah, there is always the FA Cup. Or the League Cup, the Carabao Cup. There are a number of stadiums that I would love to see Lionel Messi play. Kenilworth Road is at the top of the list because he'd be like, "What the heck is this place?" Well, I just walked through somebody's bloody house to get into the stadium.
It's just like, Mom, I can't believe they're fucking Messi in the garden.
Messi's just walked past. Oh my God! I don't know why they're Scouse in Luton, Bedfordshire, but yeah, there's a few places. Accrington Stanley. I'd like to see him go up against Millwall just to see the banter. The Millwall fans would just tear him a new one. That'd be quite funny. Who else?
I'd love to. Lionel Messi. I'd love to see him play. What's the name of the ground? I can't remember the name of it. It'd have to be an FA Cup tie for sure. I'd love to see him play at, I can't remember what it's called.
What's the
Is it
club?
Parade?
Rodney Parade. Yeah, that's who is that? Newport. That's Newport, isn't it? Yeah, the Newport Stadium. Oh, I think we're having internet
and the
problems.
pitch is awful to run on.
Oh, sorry, I think we're having internet problems tonight, and I don't know what's going on. Hopefully the stream is okay, but yeah, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Rodney Parade is Newport County. Yeah, you. I'd like to see him play on a pitch torn up by rugby. That would be the next bit. Play on a pitch torn up by rugby union or rugby league. Shove him against Wigan Athletic after Wigan Warriors have played. See what happens. But yeah, Paris Saint-Germain 4, Barcelona 1. They ain't coming back from that. Signed, sealed, delivered and done. No. Bye-bye, Barca. Leipzig 0, Liverpool 2. A game that I think everyone thought Liverpool were going to struggle.
You say that, but Barca staged a miraculous comeback a good few seasons ago when they ended up winning it. I think it was like 6-5 on aggregate.
That is true, but also this is Ronald Koeman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not happening. I love the fact that Sky Sports Retro put out the video of Ronald Koeman when he replaced Poch at Southampton, saying Poch has made it. He was jokingly saying Poch has made it very easy for me to manage this club because of the great players and everything like that. And it was literally they just blown the full-time whistle on the Paris-Barcelona match. Leipzig 0, Liverpool 2 in a game that I don't think many people saw Liverpool winning, or at least struggling to win, based on their Premier League performances recently. But they seem to step up and do very well. Played in Budapest, the Puskás Arena, because foreign teams are not allowed into Germany because of quarantining rules. I think that's similar with some other countries as well. So there will be some neutral venues will have to be played, but this was one of them. Liverpool did very well. There's not really much to say on this one. Standard performance. Liverpool stepped up that they didn't do in the Premier League, and they got a 2-0 win.
Yeah, and I believe Dortmund did 3-1 over Sevilla.
3-2. 3-2. 3-2. Sevilla 2, Dortmund 3, which I wasn't expecting because I think Dortmund haven't been particularly good this season, so I wasn't really expecting that. But I mean, it's too late for Sevilla. They can't enter the Sevilla League, the Europa League, that they win all the time, every single year. I'm sure UEFA will find a way to put them in the last 16 of the Europa League. Just a set, or they'll just get DPD to deliver, or Amazon to deliver the parcel with the Europa League trophy in it. And Porto 2, Juventus 1.
It's the classic. You know what it'll be? It'll be the classic WWE way they do it. One guy injures the other opponent. Can't make it because they've all been taken out by COVID, and then suddenly out of nowhere, an entrance music hits, and then the Sevilla team just run out onto the pitch like a surprise Royal Rumble entrance.
Oh goodness! I don't think that's going to happen, but that would spice up the competition certainly. Porto 2, Juventus 1, and Juventus bye. Unless they, to be fair, actually, I reckon Juventus will turn it around in the second leg. I could see them just doing quite well in the second leg.
They are. I think they're special turning it around in the second leg.
Yeah, I can see that happening as well. They do they do a very good job. What else have we got? Next week's games for the 23rd, it's Atletico versus Chelsea, Lazio Bayern, Atalanta versus Real, and Mönchengladbach versus City. Come on, Atalanta, and knock Real Madrid out. Those are next.
I am pulling for
games.
Atalanta.
You're pulling for Atalanta. Yes. We all want Atalanta to knock out Real Madrid, because then Zidane becomes what we. Well, hopefully everybody will find out what I believe him to be. a terrible manager.
I think what you should do now, that if Atalanta knock out Real Madrid, and that is the game that gets Zinedine Zidane sacked, you will be grinning. One side of your mouth will be in Park North, the other side will be in bloody Shaw.
I'll have in the words of Brian Clough in that in the Damned United movie, I'll have the biggest fucking Colgate smile you've ever fucking seen. The biggest white Colgate smile you've ever seen. We're chatting Liverpool. What is going wrong? They have lost 2-0 to Everton today in the Merseyside derby. And to be honest, I thought this was going to be a tasty game, a very physical game, purely because I thought Jurgen Klopp was saying, if they broke us last time, go break them this time. But apparently, maybe he didn't say that. But I think he should have. He should have said, go and break them. Go in two-footed, suds up, and break their ankles. But maybe not. Everton, 2-0 winners. Richarlison's 3rd minute goal. Gylfi Sigurdsson, 83rd minute penalty. Kind of wasn't a penalty, though. I saw a replay of it. What did you think? Did you think it was a penalty?
See, I was having dinner with my dad at the time when it was going on, and me and him were both watching it, and it was never a penalty. Basically, what had happened is that Trent had gone in for a challenge, slid right past him, and then Calvert-Lewin decides to kick him in the back of the head and fall over. And what was strange about it is that obviously the referee was told to go over to check the monitor because he may have made an error. He was at the monitor for all of a sneeze. And literally came back and said, "Yeah, it was a penalty," which I don't understand. And one of it drags into question another argument about VAR. Is it properly implemented? Things like that. And you can tell that they only show certain angles of things where a couple of angles it looks like one thing, but one angle it looks like another. And it's so bizarre how they decide they want to implement it. And we could go on about this. We could write a book on what we think about VAR is like. But for me, never a penalty. I think Trent was very hardly done by. I think it was a great save from Alisson, when the first shot came in. But then Calvert-Lewin decides to just trip over the back of Trent's head, and somehow that's a penalty.
Yeah, I can't. I should play devil's advocate and try and argue, but how do you defend the indefensible? Like, well, somebody did it. Quote the OJ reference from Boris Johnson this week. I want to go to Twitter. One of my other great co-hosts of this show is a Liverpool fan, Callum. How are you doing? I'm just on his Twitter account because I always follow him whenever Liverpool plays because he tweets all the time. And he has put, and I better bleep out the expletives here, I hope every single ref gets effed in the A repeatedly. I mean, not that I want that to happen, but that was a very poor decision from the referee. Let's just say that. Let's leave it there. Let's take a look at what has gone wrong generally then. And last week I talked about are they out the title race? And even a Liverpool fan said yes, they are. And that journalists, stupid journalists, shoddy journalists should stop asking that question. Because they are out of the title race. Now, I tried to play devil's advocate last week, and I genuinely did believe that they were still in the title race. This week, no, they're out. They have no chance. No chance in hell. No chance. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. No chance in hell.
It's
yeah, they've got no chance.
Yeah, they are out.
Yeah, they're out. They're out.
Yeah,
completely.
They are out of it.
I'm just looking at their previous results. They have now not won a Premier League game for the last time they won a Premier League game was back at the end of January 3-1 win away at Tottenham. A 3-1 win away at West Ham at the end of January, on the 31st of January. This month, they are yet to win a Premier League match, and they have one game left. They have lost 1-0 to Brighton, 4-1 to City, 3-1 to Leicester, and now 2-0 to Everton. Okay, yes, they beat Leipzig 2-0 in the Champions League. They only have one Premier League game left this month. It's against Sheffield United. That might be... well, to be fair, when they played... what was it last time? I think Sheffield United actually looked good back then. But now, you've got to say Liverpool should be winning that game quite easily. So let's hope they do win that match. But what has gone wrong for them? Van Dijk?
I do feel bad. I do feel bad for Liverpool. They've had such a massive high now. They've dropped to what they're playing like at the moment. I don't feel sorry enough for them. My old boss, he's the biggest Liverpool fan you'll come across. And when I worked in the bank in Swindon, he never failed to remind me of a performance where Arsenal were performing badly when they were going through their struggles, and he'd always rid me for it. And now I feel like I can do the same, and he's got no comeback to me. Liverpool at the moment, the way they play, I think they have been, because their team is essentially, patchwork. They got a patchwork defence at the moment. When you're having Jordan Henderson play at centre back, that Ozan Kabak hasn't given them any confidence. I think what's happening is that Liverpool miss their defenders, not in the sense that they keep goals out. Obviously they do, but also the problem is at the other end of the pitch. Liverpool seem a bit more cautious about throwing up as many players as they possibly can. When you had people in the mid, like Fabinho on the edge of the box, Wijnaldum making runs beyond Firmino. They seem a bit reluctant to do that because they know their defence is not going to have any counter-attacks covered. It's not Van Dijk and Joe Gomez where they'll most likely have the box covered should they get hit on the counter-attack. So it seems that they're not sending as many bodies forward, and therefore their attack is suffering as well. So the attackers are nervous because they know if they overcommit into getting these chances, they're just easy fodder on the counter-attack. And I think a lot of teams now have become wise to the way that Liverpool play. Liverpool control the game in the midfield. But when one of your best midfielders is actually playing a centre-back role, you're not going to, dominate that central position as much.
This was Everton's first win at Anfield since 1999. We're just going with the music. We're just flowing with the musical references today.
To give you some perspective, that me and Dan were 5 and 6, respectively.
The Sega Dreamcast had just been released. Well, actually, had it been released? No, it was going to be released. Oh, no, it had been released in Japan.
Me and Dan were still sitting at Holy Family School, belting out pure Jesus anthems to Mrs. Cryer's guitar at Holy Family.
Yes, and yeah. Yep, I had forgotten about her. She said I would amount to nothing. Fuck you, bitch. No, I have no respect. But anyway, no problem. Liverpool then, so this is their first defeat at home to Everton since 1999, and as you say, it just looks like the cut and paste nature of their defence seems to have done them a disservice, and I'm really not sure why they didn't spend I think most Liverpool fans, and correct me if I'm wrong, Liverpool fans, please do, wanted a little bit of backing for Jurgen in the transfer market, and though they got Ben Davies, was it Ben Davies on the final day?
From Preston.
Yeah, they probably needed to spend a bit more money on defenders than buying just Ben Davies. Well, they bought in 2, but they probably needed to bring about 3 or 4, to be honest. And quite frankly, the fact that they didn't... Well, I know it's a the argument is it's a pandemic. You don't want to spend too much money because you don't have a lot of money, and Liverpool have never historically been big spenders under the current ownership. They have a moneyball approach to it, which I was saying last week to Callum, who's our Liverpool fan, resident Liverpool fan, and I was saying, don't blame the owners of Liverpool for this. You need to blame one person, and that person you need to blame is former Oakland A's general manager Billy Beane, because he came up with the Moneyball concept. So if you want someone to blame him. But I'm starting to... I don't think fans can laugh at Liverpool. Like I see comments saying, this must go down as one of the worst title defences ever. No, it's not even close to one of the worst title defences ever. Remember Chelsea under Mourinho when it looked like they were relegation fodder? That's the worst title defence. That's the worst title defence in recent memory, because Leicester went on to win the league that season, didn't they? And Mourinho ended up getting the sack, and I think they finished. I can't remember where Chelsea finished. I think they had a respectable finish in the end in the top 10, but I think they finished
10th or 11th. I think.
Yeah, but they were like 15th or 16th at one point, and idiots like me were looking at them going, what if they got relegated? That would be quite funny. But who was a referee for the Liverpool match? I'm trying to find out who was a ref.
Ray Kavanagh, I think it was.
Oh God, he'll be. I jokingly say this. Please don't do it. He'll be getting threats soon, because that's the kind of world we live in.
To be fair, Callum, he put it out there what he wanted to happen to referees.
Well, to be fair, he's normally he's got a cooler head than that normally. And to be fair, we were talking about last week how far is too far. I think I'm gonna say that's right on the line. Maybe slightly across it, but hey, oh God, I'm just seeing pictures of the Everton dressing room from Anfield, and you can imagine what it looks like at the moment. Yeah. But yes, they're very happy at the moment, but I feel sorry for Liverpool a little bit. Because of the injuries, but last week it was talked about that they need a complete rebuild. Is that something that you would go along with?
Get you out of a rut, it would be Liverpool. They would get out of a rut with the plethora of talent they got. You forget this is not Liverpool are not falling apart. I think what Liverpool's problem is that they have an over-reliance on certain players. They have. I think sometimes they may have an over-reliance on players like Van Dijk to keep them in a game defensive-wise long enough for them to, score their first goal and then the eventual floodgates to open. That is the only major difference between Liverpool this season and last season. They were saying, Martin Tyler said during commentary, saying, from February last year to this year, Liverpool have lost 16 games. In the same space of time in the previous year, they had lost 4. The only major difference between the two was no Virgil van Dijk this season, for the majority of this season. So I think yeah. He's been lost. Oh. I think for a moment they need a rebuilder job. I think they've got the right player.
Tools.
I think they've got the right manager at the helm, and I think absolutely, they've got a level-headed boss. He's not drumming up, bad press for the club. I mean, Mourinho loses call with, a member of the press during a conference. He drags the club's repute. The on-screen, the on-pitch performances aren't, playing in, and then obviously he gets that.
Yeah.
But again, and you could also draw parallels to the fact that there are no fans there. You see how well Liverpool play when they've got the Cop End singing the whole game. You know, a lot of people say it doesn't make a difference, but you can see the season it has, because there has been more away victories in the Premier League than home victories, and across all teams.
And when the fans were back, they looked good. Like when they had their fans for a brief period in the Cop End, they did look damn good. Even without Van Dijk.
At the moment, they're walking alone.
Terrible. Do you think they also? So we talk about they probably need another kind of Van Dijk figure in their squad, which is probably going to cost them a lot of money, and is not easy to come by. Do you believe that they also need Kylian Mbappe?
No.
So they don't need Mbappe. They don't need to, because the rumor was we were talking about this last week, that they were reportedly going to get rid of Mo Salah. They were gonna, if they could bring in Mbappe, they were gonna get Mo Salah out the door.
I think that'd be a bad idea. If there was one person across the Liverpool front three who I'd get rid of, it'd be Firmino.
Yeah. He was a bit useless.
The reason I say that is because out of those front, I mean, he's great at linking the ball up and things like that, the odd little touch here and there. But then again, so is Mbappe. But he brings the same attributes to his Salah and forward. You know, could you imagine how Salah on the other and Mbappe down the middle? Could you imagine how frightening that attack would be? I would say, you know, for all of Firmino's talent, how often does he score? Has he ever done more than 50 season? You know, consistently, you know, Firmino doesn't do that. And I think that could be because well, when you remember when Firmino first signed from Hoffenheim, he was a central attacking midfielder, and then he started playing as a centre forward and as a false nine, and now he comes across as now a fully fledged striker, which I still don't think is his position. You know, he's very, very creative to the people around him. I think Liverpool need Mbappe, but only if they got rid of Firmino, because so far in that attack he's the weak link. And then for all their attacking talent on who have Liverpool, the thing is that they've got a great first team, but again it comes down to depth. They don't have that much quality in their depth. They have people like Xherdan Shaqiri. Xherdan Shaqiri, he'll never turn a game round. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain can't stay off the
injury.
Physical. You know, they're bringing on this Curtis Jones, who's a great player for the future, looks really, really good. But again, at the same time, he doesn't change the dynamic of the game. Minamino didn't. That's why he's at Southampton, where he's actually doing really well. I think he's gotten 3 goals in 3.
Yeah.
But I think Liverpool needs to start looking at their squad depth, because you know, they're going to need to have that impact player. They're going to need an impact, you know, sort of striker, you know, kind of the way that Olivier Giroud was in his final year at Arsenal. All right, Aubameyang and Lacazette were going to be the first choice strikers, but if you're 2-1 down and you're throwing balls forward, in my opinion, Olivier Giroud's the back. He links up the play, but you can cross a ball anywhere into that box and he'll score with his head, his right, his left.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're having a few connection problems. I don't know what's going on. I'm afraid. I'm not sure what's going out, but what's going wrong. But we got the gist. We got the gist of it. You wouldn't replace Salah with Mbappe. You'd replace Firmino. With Mbappe. Firmino, sorry. I don't know why I said Millamino. Firmino with Mbappe. It would be. I mean, if Mbappe went to Liverpool, I'd be honest. If I was any other team going up against Mbappe, I'd crap my pants because he is fantastic. Why do we? I think also Thiago hasn't been. I know Thiago's old, but still, he's not done very well.
I mean, he's not necessarily old. He's what, 89? That's probably the tail end of his peak. Once he'll get to 31, he'll start looking a bit. Thiago to me sounds like the kind of guy who would, go to China, make his pension fund and things like that. He strikes me as the type of player to do that. I think he went to Liverpool at the right time. Set out, because that.
Yeah. Sorry, we're having connection issues again. So you're saying that he went to Liverpool at the right time. He'll probably end up in China when he's in his 31, 32. I was just gonna say, and add to what we were kind of trying to listen before the internet decided to mess up. Was I thought his performances have pretty been a mixed bag. I look at who was the free agent Chelsea got from PSG, who I cannot remember the name of. Who was it?
Thiago
Silva. Thiago Silva has been a revelation, in my opinion, at Chelsea, whereas Alcantara has been meh. He's been a hit. Sometimes he hits it at the park. Sometimes it's just a swing and a miss. And I don't know. I mean, I think he's supposed to be playing in a team that has Fabinho and Van Dijk in it, and unfortunately without that, he's kind of
like it.
Yeah, go on.
He's playing like he's in a team with basically playing in a Sam Allardyce team. If I'm honest, he's playing like he's got. So
like,
do you know what? Let me put something to you. I want to put something to you in terms of what young defenders that could be world beaters. I want to put two defenders to you. They're both Brazilian and they both play in Spain.
Okay.
So these are players that Liverpool could go for that I think could potentially be very, very good. So I want to put forward Diego Carlos from Sevilla.
Okay. Diego Carlos. Okay, I've not heard of that one.
And Eder Militao from Real Madrid.
Okay, that is what I've heard of, but I'm not. I don't watch Spanish football, so that. I mean, didn't there used to be an old player called Diego Carlos, or was that? Am I just making that up? Anyway.
Those two, I would say. I think Diego Carlos is 23 and Eder Militao's 22, and they're solid centre backs.
I mean, Diego. So you're talking about Sevilla's Diego Carlos?
Yeah.
It's 27.
He's 27. Oh,
yeah,
God.
1993 he was born. Same year as me, just a lot older. Sevilla. Yeah, he's at Sevilla, and he's he's done well for them. Yeah, he'd be a great shout. Thing is, and I've, no matter who is bought to the, what's the name of the ownership group of? Is it like, well, we all know who they are. Red Sox, the guys that own the Boston Red Sox that own Liverpool. I just don't think that they won't spend that money. It's an investment to them. Like, my criticism of American owners in English football is it's an investment. It's not. They don't do it because they're passionate about it. They do it to make money.
Absolutely. And as an Arsenal fan, I can attest to that. Having the club being owned by Stan Kroenke for so many years.
I mean, yeah, because you had that Russian guy who actually was an Arsenal fan and didn't really care about the money that was going to get spent because he knew it was going to cost him loads of money, but he had it and he was an actual Arsenal fan.
Alisher Usmanov,
Yeah.
who actually offered to buy out all of Stan Kroenke's shares in Arsenal, but Stan Kroenke said no. And now Alisher Usmanov, I believe, stumped up a ton of money for Everton now. He's working with Farhad Moshiri.
Two billionaires owning one club. My goodness.
Yeah, and I think Stan Kroenke is, at Arsenal they call him Silent Stan because you never hear from him. I think the only time we've ever heard from a member of the Kroenke family was when Mikel Arteta was appointed, and you heard from Josh Kroenke, who is Stan's son. And I think, over the years with Arsenal, you can tell that, the club is a cash cow because Arsenal, I think I remember seeing it saying Arsenal were had the sixth highest net spend in new players over the last 2 years. And it was the first time, I think it was the first time in a while that Arsenal had not made an end of year profit. But Arsenal always made a profit in the past because they were run like a business rather than a football club. At the same time, and it was frustrating for Arsenal fans because at the same time, Arsenal being told that there's no money to find new players, Stan Kroenke gives the LA Rams, I think they gave them something like ridiculous, like close to $1 billion to build a new stadium for the LA Rams because they had just gotten into the Super Bowl. And in between, it was the equivalent of when Theresa May during the election said there's no magic money tree, but somehow managed to pull £1 billion out of her back pocket for the DUP. It happened in roughly the same amount of time.
Oh no. Yeah, that's always been my criticism with American owners. They're passionless. They see it as they're very analytical. They see it as business, and it works for some of them. I mean, I would say that the Liverpool owners have much more of a sports-based interest than, say, just thinking of somebody. Mike Ashley, who has no real business being a football owner. Well, he does have a sports company to promote, I guess, and a gaming company now in Game and House of Fraser and things like that. But it frustrates me with American owners. They just see it as a way to make money, and you wouldn't see a British billionaire go over and buy like the frickin' Patriots or who else is an NFL team.
British people don't care about American sports.
Oh, but Tom Brady's the most famous athlete. We did that last week. We tore that apart. But he's the most famous athlete in the world. Not a chance. But yeah, you wouldn't see. British football clubs get a lot of foreign investment. It's either Americans that are looking to make a profit. I haven't. We talk about Americans looking to make a profit on British teams. I still don't know what the game is for the Chinese owners. I don't understand. I understand the Middle Eastern owners will just pour money into a club because they see it as a long-term investment. They don't just see it as a quick buck to be made. I'm not, there isn't enough Chinese ownership of clubs for me to be able to... Because there was a stage where every club was getting bought out by Far East ownership.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think for a club like Leicester, like Far East ownership has worked because their chairman, their owner, Vito Srivadanaprabha, was loved and adored. And he was a massive Leicester City fan. Obviously, he may not have started out as one, but he became one.
Fans loved him too. Well, they still love him.
The only English club owners I can think off the top of my head, the only English club owners are the one that I can think off the top of my head, and trust me, this it's not a fair reflection on English club owners, are the two guys who own West Ham.
Gould and Sullivan.
Two guys who made their fortune in adult movies.
Yeah, pornography, yes. That's how they made their money. What was it? The Daily Sport, which was like the Sun newspaper on steroids. Page 3 of the Sun on steroids. Yeah. I mean, the English owners... I mean, there isn't enough wealthy English people to begin with. So, Mike Ashley owns Newcastle. Gold and Sullivan jointly own West Ham. Other than that, there are no other English-owned clubs in the Premier League. Sheffield United are owned by a Saudi, somebody connected to the Saudi family. West Brom have Chinese ownership. For some reason, going back to the Chinese ownership, they all seem to circulate within the West Midlands for some reason, because Aston Villa have Chinese investment. Birmingham City had Hong Kong-based owners for a very long time. West Brom and Wolves are both owned by Chinese companies. So I don't know what it is about the West Midlands. Maybe they just like Birmingham. I don't know. And Walsall will be next, and then Solihull Moors.
And Coventry City. Then Dudley Town. Right when they've run out of all the other clubs, it'll be Dudley Town and Stourbridge and clubs like that, and Tamworth. Wolverhampton Wanderers don't have Chinese ownership.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah, they're owned by a company called Fosun International, who are Chinese. I promise you.
Okay.
Fosun International own Wolves, and they are very much a Chinese company. And they have, who is it? Jorge Mendes was one of their advisors. I don't think he is anymore, but judging by the players that they have and the manager they have, he played an instrumental part in that. Going back to Liverpool then, and I felt at the start of the season I was pretty confident that they were going to retain their Premier League title. And I'm surprised that they've gone off the boil so much. I know that Van Dijk was just a major part of their defensive capabilities, but I still, even with the makeshift defending, they were still seemingly doing okay. And then it's kind of just they've hit the wall, so to speak. That if you ever talk to an athlete, they always talk about the wall. If you hit it, you're done. And they seem to have just hit the wall. Is this? I know we talked about breaking up the team, but is it truly? Liverpool waited 30 years to win a title, and I don't really want to. I'm not a Liverpool fan. I'll say that now. But I don't really want to see another 30 years go by without them winning a title. I'd like to see them win another one because it's, I'd like to see them win another one in the not too distant future. But do you think their inability to retain will make them a stronger team next season?
It's a difficult one to say. I think Liverpool next year will come back, obviously because they're out of the title race now, but I think they'll come back with a point to prove. They'll come back saying, they'll come back with a point to prove to say, okay, we lost the title, but the only reason you guys managed to sneak up on us to take the title away from us is because we weren't at our full strength. We hadn't hit our final form, So I think, whilst the team was in turmoil, Man City have snuck in the back door and nicked it.
So even Manchester United were top of the league at one point, and I was like, what the F? So...
we've got West Ham United fighting for a Champions League spot here. So
West Ham United are technically ahead of Liverpool. They are ahead of Liverpool, West Ham United, which is bizarre. And to be fair, what their owners wanted when they bought them all those years ago, when they moved to the Olympic Stadium and everything. So West Ham are 2 points above Liverpool with a game in hand. Obviously, they're playing tomorrow, but Fulham are 1-0 up against Sheffield United in the clash at the bottom of the league. So that
sounds like what I described going to the toilet.
Newcastle in a little bit of a danger. You're going for a Sheffield United. I'm just looking at Liverpool and thinking, is there a likely? I don't think this is going to happen, and maybe it's a bit sensationalist of me to suggest, but could Klopp just leave? Could he just go? You know what? I've had enough of this. Because I think Klopp and the fans love each other. Like Klopp clearly loves the Liverpool fans, and he loves Liverpool as a club, as a city, and the fans love him. Well, they always were going to, but even before he won the league title, they loved him. I don't think there's one Liverpool fan, although I'll listen to TalkSport this week and they'll find some jackass that will say, yeah, Klopp's got to be sacked. Granted, they won't actually be from Liverpool, so there'll be some sort of London Liverpool fan, and they'll ask for Jurgen to get sacked because they're not actually a fan and don't understand the game. But because of... I want to blame the Liverpool ownership for this situation because they just haven't backed Jurgen in the right manner. Not to the same degree as you compare them with Chelsea and Man City, who spent... Man City knew what their problems were and they were defending the defensive problems, so they went out and spent a ton of money to rectify those problems, and now they're 10 points clear at the top of the league. Liverpool are not... Okay, yes, they're not owned by an Arab state rich in oil money, but then Chelsea aren't either, but they are owned by a billionaire who made a lot of money from Russian gas and oil. But you just get the feeling that Chelsea not Chelsea, Liverpool should have backed Jurgen a little bit more, and I just get the feeling that if they don't back him, he might just turn around one day and go, you know what, there's a Real Madrid job or a Barcelona job going, I quite fancy that one, bye-bye.
Yeah, I think I don't think they have backed him. I think it's been possibly a little bit of miscommunication where the board will argue saying, "Oh, we have backed you. You know, you've got these amazing players. We let you use the funds from Coutinho to buy Van Dijk and Alisson." But then Jurgen will argue back saying, "Okay, you gave me this as long as I delivered. I delivered you a Premier League title and a Champions League. Now I need your continued backing if you want this continued success." And it sounds like possibly it could be like a bit of back and forth about, who's going to take the next step now to bring the club where they want to be, keeping them at the top. So I think that's where Jurgen will probably argue to them, continue to back me and I'll continue to give you success. Whereas the board could argue, you spent a ton of cash these last few seasons. You got to make do with what you got for the time being.
I'm just looking at what's the Liverpool fans have been saying about this game.
Could we possibly think, could we look at the potential rather than at the management and the ownership? Possibly the players, mentally aren't in the right mindset. Their heads have dropped. Yeah, are they still resting on the success of the last two seasons, which gave them a Champions League and a Premier League title?
I mean, yeah, they were.
Could it be the fact that, I mean, in terms of team rotation, Liverpool's team rotation is non-existent. They do not rotate their teams.
Well, they don't have a squad.
Teams are playing like, a game every 3 days. Liverpool don't have squad rotation. They don't have anyone who can fill up the wing positions that Mane and Salah have. They don't have a backup striker, that could, keep up with Firmino despite his obvious flaws. They don't have backup midfielders. Could it just be fatigue? Because it's coming up for a year now where these players have played such, games that are so, clustered together. So could that be a factor? It's easy to suspect an inside job with the ownership or the manager, but it could just be down to fatigue.
Well, they do this each and every season, don't they? And they had that quite long break last season for reasons that we all know. But they had an incredibly short turnaround in pre-season for this season. It was incredibly short. They've had Champions League matches pretty much every week for the first 4 months of the season. So they had game after game after game after game. However, when Jurgen Klopp came out and complained about this, I said at the time, Manchester United were doing the same thing. Chelsea were doing the same thing.
And even then, you could argue the fact that at the time when Man United were doing the same thing. I mean, Man United were. I think it was when Mourinho was in charge. Mourinho came out and complained at the fact about the Europa League being on the Thursday when they had a match on the Saturday or the Sunday. So teams in the Champions League get more of a rest than the teams in the Europa League.
Oh, God. Oh, goodness. So I go on Twitter. Some idiot calls 606 and says, I don't think there's any way back. Dalglish should replace Klopp. Yeah, because that worked so well last time, didn't it? That worked so well when Dalglish replaced... Who was it? Hodgson? He replaced Roy Hodgson, wasn't it? And he did so well. He brought in such superstars like Andy Carroll. Although he did bring in Luis Suarez, so don't use that against me. But Andy Carroll, and then he was replaced by Brendan Rodgers. Who
then brought in superstars such as Christian Benteke.
I mean, no. If you're a Liverpool fan and if you want to get rid of Jurgen Klopp, that'll be your undoing.
Do you know what?
They're not a Liverpool fan.
There's an air of potential Brexit ramifications from this. They'll want Jurgen out, and then when they realise when he's out, they'll realise, how good they had it, and how less shit things were.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't get it.
People from the outside just sit and look at them saying, well, this is what you wanted. This is what you pined for. This is what you voted for. You make your bed, now get fucked in it.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my bloody laptop parts, by the way. I've been waiting since January, the beginning. I didn't even vote for this rubbish.
I paid a £10 customs charge on a phone case that came from Germany.
Wow. At least I bought all my 1860 Munich gear whilst we were still kind of in the European Union, so I didn't have to spend any custom. I got my tracksuit bottoms and my shorts and my 1860 Munich shirt, so I'm happy.
It's going to get to a point where the Germany... It's going to get to a point where the Germans are going to start shouting at us, 2 bailouts and a Brexit vote, 2 bailouts and a Brexit vote.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Moving swiftly on. Final word on... I'm just going to... after seeing that Liverpool fan, and I'm not saying he's a fan, he's clearly not a fan. They are clearly not a fan.
Glory hunter.
This glory hunting bastard. I'm just going to have a look at now. I hate the fact that I'm going to do this. Next Premier League manager to get the chop.
I think it could be Ralph Hasenhüttl.
I don't know. They're 13th. I mean, what?
Yeah, I know, but it's the performances though. They're very inconsistent. They'll have a spot where they'll go undefeated for 6-7 games, but then they'll absolutely fall off a cliff. So for me, I would say Ralph Hasenhüttl will probably be the next one. If not that, probably. I don't think Sam Allardyce will ever be in the running because by doing that, the West Brom ownership would essentially be admitting the mistake of appointing him in the first place and getting rid of Slaven Bilic, because I think they're relying on Big Sam to keep them in the Premier League. He's an escape artist, so I think Sam Allardyce is safe until the end of the season.
I was going to say the favourite to be gone next is Mourinho, who we were talking about last week, and what the F was going on at Tottenham, because he seems to have annoyed. Well, he seems to have. Well, we talked about this last week, where he criticised Dele Alli on that documentary, and it failed to pay off. I know what he was trying to do, but Dele Alli's not the kind of player that responds to criticism, he's the you need to put your arm around his shoulder and tell him to, come on, get on with it. And less we mention Gareth Bale. So Jurgen is 11-2 to be the next manager to go. I would not put money on that. I don't see that happening. And any Liverpool fan that wants Jurgen to go, you can hit me up on Twitter at DJ_Danny_H, and I'll call you a word beginning with W and ending in Kerr. Wang Kerr. That's what I'll call you. So yes, that's Liverpool sorted. Out of the title race. Well, there goes my prediction for who was going to win the Premier League. Gone. I want to thank my guest this week, Thomas Moore. That has been the Football Fan Show podcast. Be sure to join us on Twitter. Carry on the debate at TFFS Live. Facebook.com/The Football Fan Show. You can even email us if you wanted to chat about something, thefootballfanshow@gmail.com. Go to our website, it's deadair.media/The Football Fan Show. And of course, we're live on twitch.tv/The Football Fan Show every Saturday night, and YouTube. Just search The Football Fan Show Live. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you next week. Bye.